Hello, 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 and good evening. I would like to welcome you to Journey Ryan Live. And if you've been paying attention the last few weeks, you'll know that my name is Gigi, and I'm a new reader debuting on my Psychic Connect. And I look forward to all of your questions. And if you would like to add your question to the list for reading tonight, I ask that you post it and they will be read on in the order in which they are received. So just to let you have a little preview of what's to come this evening around midnight, Squirrel show will be on, Squirrel with the Whispers from the Forest. And if you haven't checked out that show, I encourage you. I know Squirrel personally, and she's an amazing, amazing psychic. So best to check her out at midnight tonight. We want to make sure that everyone has a chance to experience her deliciousness. But as for tonight, my forte is a tarot, and I am taking questions from you tonight, and I look forward to that. And I know that we have a few questions in the queue already, so let's just jump right in with our first question. All right, so we have one from Gemma. I'm looking to move to the south of England after my op. So within the next few years, will I get a house exchange or will I move in with someone? Trying to get an exchange is proving difficult so far. Okay, not sure what the op is or what that means. So I'm going to strictly answer the question, Gemma, of will you be moving to the south of England, first of all? And secondly, will you be doing that solo or will you be relying on a roommate of some sort? And so, first off, I come with the Queen of Pentacles in the reverse, the Fool, and the Queen of Cups. And what I'm seeing is the move can happen, but not necessarily on the time frame that you're looking at. So let's take a stronger look at what that means. With this Queen of Pentacles in the reverse, I am strongly seeing where the finances are going to be an issue for you, especially, like I said, everything's about this time frame, and I feel like you're very locked into it. But I also feel with the Fool that you are or you will be making some choices that don't benefit your goal of this move that you plan to make, right? And with the Queen of Cups, it feels like a rescue of some sort is what you will end up receiving. Now, that's screaming to me strongly among the roommate line, but will that work out? That's what we need to see. And I had a jumper here, so I'm going to take it with the Seven of Swords in the reverse. Wow. Wow, Gemma. With the whole thing of looking for a roommate, I'm getting sorrowful cards. So the energy around that, and especially with the Six of Wands in the reverse, the Six of Wands is about winners, being the winner or being able to achieve what it is that you're looking for. And with it being in the reverse, the energy is against you. So let's take a further look just to see what do I have to do to get there, right? And I'm getting the Eight of Wands. Well, it's about manifestation. So I don't know what... All right, Gemma, I hope that helps you out to some degree. Thank you for trusting me with your question. And, I know it's a really, you have to open yourself up to ask these questions. People don't understand because even though no one else in the audience may know who you are, There's always a chance, but you're opening yourself up to say, I am going to ask you this question, and now I really need to receive from you some guidance. So I thank everyone that asked me questions in that way. And thank you, Gemma. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into our second question. Audrey, hi, my man is really stressed out about work and money. He's laid off for quite a while. Will anything else financially happen for him? He used to make 8,000 a month and now about 3, and he's not happy. Yeah, I get that. Like that's a huge hit. So let's take a look at him, and let's take a look at where he'll be in the next 3 months with his financial situation, with the job situation. First card off the bat is the 5 of Wands. Then I have the 10 of Swords in the reverse. Wow, Justice in the reverse. What I'm getting here with this 5 of Wands, the competition is steep. So whatever it is that he does for work, there's particularly stiff competition, more so than a lot of people experience in their job-related fields. And so with this 10 of Swords in the reverse, it's talking about, in a sense, cutting your losses. And how I'm taking that, though, for his situation is more along the lines of looking at an alternate line of work related to what he does now. So not exactly what he does now, but something that he could take on doing that isn't a complete departure from what he does, and start to pursue that in order to seek the success that he looks for. And with Justice in the reverse, I'm getting this element here of him being perceived in a way, like maybe as he's going for interviews or as he's talking to people and networking, trying to get to where he wants to be in his work situation. I'm getting that people are perceiving him in a way where it's not positive. Like they're perceiving what he, like they're not picking up what he's putting down, so to speak. All right, Audrey, thank you for your question. Thank you for trusting me once again with your question. And her question brought up something really interesting that I was actually thinking about as I was contemplating my show tonight, like what I wanted to talk to you all about. And I went around with certain things, and I started off with the whole topic of manifestation in mind. But I do realize that, people have so many different varying opinions on what you need to do to manifest, right? So you can get into like corners, and it can be a really draining conversation. But in the least, what ended up coming to me at the very end of this whole thought process was how our egos influence how we manifest, and how our egos influence what form of manifestation we choose to practice if we do actually engage in manifestation practices. And looking at and examining what that means and how you're able to bring what you need or want to you, like a job, or how you're repelling it, right? And having the wherewithal to get beyond your ego and your ego's opinion of who you are, or what you think other people, how you think other people should value you. If you can step beyond that to get to a place of neutral observation of yourself, your interactions, being mindful, being able to observe how your actions or lack of actions affect this, this journey that you're on, right? And there's different forms of self-observation, whether you're doing that through a practice like yoga, which is incredibly good at that, incredibly good at increasing your ability to get beyond the ego. Because that last question specifically that I was reading on, I could feel his ego so heavily influencing what's happening to him, right? Not saying that he's an egomaniac walking around being mean and cruel to people. Just saying, we all have an ego, right? We can't divorce our ego. And how much of it is at the forefront, how, again, we're not able to look past it, right? So that was one of the topics that was really circulating in my mind tonight as I was thinking about doing this show with you guys. Like, what do you do? I'd be really curious to know, how do you bridge the gap on these things? So drop me a comment. I'd love to hear and know about these things. I might learn something new myself. And with that being said, let's go on to our next question. Let's see who else out there has something for us. So we have Colleen. If my dog relocates when my son comes to live with me, TBD, who gets the dog ultimately, me or my ex, will he bark, whine less, or is that just how he is? Okay, not sure I'm clear on what your question is, Colleen. What I'm thinking I see is you and your ex are doing some battle over the dog. I'm not sure if the dog is who the dog is with right now, and it sounds like it's with your ex. I'm not sure how your son's involved. So if you could kind of give a little more detail around your question, that would help me, because it's literally confusing and I don't want to give you a confusing answer. All right, so the dog is with your ex. All right, so you're hoping that the dog comes to you. So let's take a look. We can look inside doggy's brain, see what's happening, what might be causing that type of behavior. And let's see, will that behavior persist with you? And I say yes. If the dog comes to live with you, you will see that type of behavior from your dog persisting. And so let's take a look inside your doggy's brain and see what it is that could be causing that, or, what a possible remedy is for that. All right, so I have your dog. Your dog is very affected by what's been happening between you and your ex. I have the Four of Cups in the reverse. It's a topsy-turvy of the happy home, or at least the happy home from the dog's point of view, right? Because I'm looking at it from your pet's point of view. I also have the Three of Wands. It's kind of like a feeling of, the Three of Wands is in reverse, the dog not wanting to look forward to the next day, like the dog living in anxiety and stress over the fact that what it knew, the environment it knew with the people and, maybe other animals, but the environment it knew with the beings that were around it constantly now being turned upside down, and the dog is feeling, I guess, hopelessness. Now you have to excuse me. I don't have a lot of knowledge about what animals see, experience, and feel, but this is what I'm getting here from the card. All right, thank you. Thank you for asking your question. Like I said, I don't really have a pet, so I don't know the ins and outs of, a dog's experience, but I do find it interesting in the times that I do read regarding animals, what they send through in the cards. Oh, you're welcome, Colleen. Again, thank you for your question. All right, so let's go on and move on to our next question if we have one up. For us, Favor. Hi, will T get married to me this year? Ooh, okay. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at T and what's going on in T's heart and mind in this situation, and how T plans to handle things, or what T's intent is. And so right off the bat, I have the Hierophant in the reverse, the World in the reverse, Knight of Swords, and Strength. All right. T has a natural aversion to the marriage contract, is what I'm hearing. A very strong natural aversion to it with this Hierophant in the reverse. Don't know if it's being fueled by the fact that T was actually married previously, but I'm getting a feeling of, if T was not previously married, T was definitely in a situation at one point where it was leading to marriage. That was the expected outcome for T. and T was all for it, and it got turned upside down somehow. And now this aversion is stronger than in a lot of people who are feeling adverse to marriage, because this is feeling like a blockage. And with the world in the reverse, there's not wanting to continue to completion on that cycle of coming all the way around to the marriage. The Knight of Swords is showing up as T's intent, which is interesting because I feel like the closer you get to the point where either marriage is expected, or if you've already chosen a date, it feels like the words will be sharper. It feels like the behaviors will be more cutting. It feels like you may even turn around and say, all right, I want to thank you for that question. And I definitely want to thank you for trusting me with that question. That's one of those questions where you're really opening yourself up and you are like, all right, I need to ask this. I need to be vulnerable. So I do appreciate that. And I do appreciate the trust that you're placing in me as a reader. I am a straight shooter. So when I do see something that I know won't be good news, I still give it, because I really and truly feel that to be forewarned is to be forearmed. And so I hope that this information helps you and know that my intent is never to inflict pain. All right. So what's out there next? Do we have any more questions? Taylor Sophia. Hi, I told Edward about my kitten dying on Christmas, my ex being murdered. Still no word from him. All right. I'm unpacking that question in a couple of ways, but I'm assuming that Edward is someone that you are taking some type of romantic interest in. But let's see what's going on with Edward and why Edward might currently be in ghost status, I call it, towards you, why you haven't heard. So what's going on? Wow. Edward, man, I have the Tower right off the bat, along with Justice in the reverse. And that's a strong ass statement, let me tell you. Edward is showing up more as the King of Wands. The King of Wands is very player type energy, very charming energy, but overall, it's the type of energy that isn't about getting rooted in situations in a deep manner, and like, so heavy emotional confessions don't bode well with this King of Wands, because this King of Wands is about, let's have a good time, let's party, let's, I don't know, travel, let's enjoy going out, whatever that definition of a good time is, whether that's sitting home, Netflix and chill, or whether that's out partying in the club, whatever that individual Edward's definition of the good time, that's what his focus tends to stay on. With this Tower card, yeah, I see the interruption, because Tower is all about the smoke burning in the background, like throwing it up in flames, because it's not. Hey. All right, so we're back, and I hope that Taylor gives you some insight into your question, and I thank you for your question this evening. It's interesting. We were talking just a little while ago as I was talking about what my general discussion for tonight about manifestation and ego, and the influence of the ego on your manifestation or your manifestation practices. And one of the things that I can say about the tarot and getting readings on those around you, and getting readings on what's coming up for you and those kinds of things, is it gets down to the nitty gritty, and it shows you what's going on the inside, the inner workings of a situation, the inner workings of a person. And that is, to me, one of the most valuable things about the tarot. You can see straight into a person's heart and mind and know what they're experiencing, what their view of you is, you know, because it could be completely different than you would imagine. All right, so I am ready for my next question. And if you have a question, be sure to post it so you can get on the list. Mika, hi, what's coming for me spiritually next? All right, Mika, let's take that general question and let's get it down to the next. I'm going to look at the next 6 months and what types of breakthroughs you may have if you are incredibly focused on developing your spirituality. So, if being the operative word there. Where will you be towards the end of this 6 months? What's next? All right. Lots of reversals. You're getting in your own way a lot, and it's going to be very frustrating. With this Knight of Wands in the reverse, you're wanting things to come about very, very quickly, and that's one of your stumbling blocks. Not having the patience, and I'm hearing not having the wherewithal to stick with a process. If one thing doesn't appear to be working within a short amount of time, you're going to the next, and you're not giving that first thing the care and coddling that it needs to, you know, manifest into what it is that you're looking at, which is a breakthrough spiritually, right? So then we move on to the Emperor in the reverse. And one of the next stumbling blocks that I'm getting here with that is the lack of a proper mentor or teacher to take you exactly to where you want to go. I feel like there are teacher type individuals around you, but they're not the type that are prepared to get you where you would like to be. So in essence, they're the wrong teacher or mentor, right? Then I have the King of Cups in the reverse, which is jumping out to me as a stumbling block as well, of being somewhat divorced from your emotions in an improper way. So not having the wow, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So yeah, there was a lot. What Spirit was really showing me was the stumbling blocks, that the impediments to getting to where you want. But there was information there, definitely. Unfortunately, we didn't have time to get to about what your actual strengths are and how to utilize them. So I would encourage you to go ahead and follow up with a longer reading, because there's definitely stuff there, that guidance that Spirit's trying to get to you as to where to concentrate your efforts, where your natural gifts are. All right, so let's take a look forward at our next question. Brittany, can I ask if my guides have an important message for me regarding my recent changes? What is it? All right, let's take a look, and I call on Brittany's guides. And if you have a message for Brittany at this time, I ask that you bring it forward for her. All right, Ace of Cups, Queen of Cups, and Nine of Cups. Wow, Brittany. Okay, they're happy with you. I can tell you that right now. Ace of Cups is being guided and listening to the guidance, and they are standing at the ready to have your cup overflowing, as it is in this card, with good things, right? So lots of support and love. And it's like this feeling that I'm getting as I look at these cards is they've been waiting for you to ask. They've been waiting for you to ask what it is they want you to know. And they're very happy about that, with this Queen of Cups as well. Yes, this is them seeing you as standing up in your own strength and taking charge and setting things in the way that they need to be set right in your own life. And there's this profound feeling of pride around that, right? That they want to get across to you. And also, there's a mother figure on the other side. I don't know if it's, I'll say it like this. If it's not your actual, if your mother, your biological mother isn't yet on the other side, then this is a mother, like grandmother. It can go back several generations, because I feel like this is someone you may not have known in this lifetime. They preceded you, like they were here before you were. that is strong, has a strong hold on the wheel, right? That's guiding you. So some examination into exactly who that would be may be helpful for you in the case that you want to speak directly to that. All right, thank you for that question. I like that question. I like that type of question, and I like when they especially come through with the messages that are like incredibly positive and loving. There was a lot of love there on the table I saw when I was reading that question. It's always interesting when someone asks that question about their guides having a message, and then I get the reading. I get the cards that are like, yeah, they they got some stuff to say to you. You ain't gonna like any of it. And they let you have it. Those messages are harder to give, but they're there for a reading, and it's necessary to give them the truth, right? But yeah, that message, and again, those are the type of messages that I like to give. It was full of love, 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 love. So congrats to you. Let's move on. Who's next? All right, we have a donation and a 3-minute reading for Gemma, and I thank you. I thank you for that. And all donations collected this month, $1 of them go to the ASPCA. So that's great. All right, Gemma, can you see me settling down and getting married one day? Well, one day is a long time, right? So let's take a look at this year. Where will you be by December of this year? The immediate future, and let's start there, and then we'll move on from there if time permits. All right, so for this year, 2023, I see you with the World. I see you with the 2 of Swords in reverse, and I see you with the Devil. And what that's jumping out to tell me right away, Gemma, is, I see a potential situation here in which you're going to feel like this is it, right? But actually the devil in disguise, because this person is incredibly controlling, right? And so you will come with this 2 of Swords in the reverse to a point where you'll be seriously sitting down and making this decision of, is this, you'll see the person for who they are, and you'll be sitting there like, okay, is this really it? And honestly, I feel you like making a decision that it's not, and that you need to move. Like, you're going to see too much of that devil nature. You're going to see too much of, and I'm hearing controlling from the point of, once the controlling starts and it's not acknowledged properly, as in, okay, let me check you, because you don't talk to me like that. You don't treat me like that. And I will not be here for that. Once you fail to do that, the controlling behavior gets worse and worse, to the point where it really puts you in a situation that can be very unhealthy and frankly unsafe. And so, keep your eyes open in regards to that. Let's move into 2024, and I have the 3 of Cups, the Supreme card, which is a card that is specific to this deck, and I also have the 4 of Swords in the reverse. And I really see 2024 as a year where you're going to grow a lot in your mindset, and especially in your mindset in regards to marriage, what it is, what it's not, what it's meant to do in your life, what, people have a lot of different ideas and understanding of what they think marriage will do for them. And in 2024, a lot of that's going to be changing, turning on its head for you, right? And with the 3 of Cups, you're going to find yourself surrounded by people who, especially after 2023 and what we just talked about happening in 2023, you're just going to find yourself surrounded by a whole different group of people. All right. Thank you again, Gemma, for your question. And I appreciate your donation very, very much. And if you have a question and would like to make a donation, you can do so in the chat by placing your question there. We don't do legal, medical, or general. But if you do want a general reading, you can always go to my Psychic Connection and post your question up there. All right. So Gemma says that's very interesting. Thank you. Yeah. Lots of change underfoot, but I think you'll like the place that you come to, Gemma. So that is that's always good to know. At the end of the day, there's a light at the end of that tunnel. All right. Let's go on and see who's next on our list here. What we've got going on. Laura, do you see me moving into an apartment or with my daughter in Wisconsin in the next month? All right, so I'm assuming those are two separate actions. So I'll look at them as such. Are you moving into an apartment or are you moving with your daughter within this next month? And what does Spirit have to say about that? Wow, interesting stuff. I would say more or less when it comes to moving into an apartment, right? I see you with this Queen of Swords, moving about things, you know, in what you think is a logical manner. I do see with the Ace of Pentacles that there's probably something financial that is, I don't know if this is a lack of credit or a lack of, you know, have as far as moving into an apartment, or if it's a lack of having the job to support what the requirements are for the apartment that you choose. But that's looking really wonky. And so I see issues around that when it comes to you pursuing actually moving into an apartment, right? Not to say that those can't be overcome. I just feel like there's a great amount of difficulty around that. And I see someone kind of taking on the role of looking through your application with a fine-tooth comb. Like, this person is someone who, it's not having to do with you personally. I just feel like they're the type of person, like they look with an eye to disqualify, right? And so that's what I'm seeing there. All right. And thank you for your comment that what you were hearing was spot on. I do appreciate knowing that, because it just lets me know that I'm on track. I'm not way off in left field, and I appreciate that confirmation. But I do wish you the best of luck, and thank you for your question. So I do want to let you guys know that tomorrow on this network, My Psychic Connection, there are 3 great shows starting around 7 p.m. Eastern. You'll have to go out and look at the schedule to see all about those shows, who is starring in those shows, and what you can expect. So, but I do hope that you will join us tomorrow for those shows starting at 7. All right. Do we have anyone on the list? Anyone else have a question for me? Cassandra, are there any messages for my daughter she wants to give me or my spirit guide? All right. Let me see if there's someone in spirit who wants to join us through the cards here. I do have more or less from your spirit team is who wants to come through. So let's go ahead and pull some cards to see quickly what messages they may have for you. First off, I have the 9 of Wands in the reverse, the King of Pentacles, and the 3 of Wands. All right, first message coming through with the 9 of Wands in the reverse is, 9 of Wands is the Wounded Warrior card, right? And so they're urging you to do what you can to move past this feeling of walking around with open wounds, because very strongly I'm picking up that that's what's going on. I really am feeling, as I You know, as I'm looking at this, like that, it's a feeling in my stomach, like discomfort and pain. So I don't know if you're experiencing that physically, but I know that I'm not experiencing that physically at this time. So my guess is that, but it's this open wound carrying around, and it's bringing down everything in your world, right? And I know that's easier said than done to push through it. But what they're letting you know with this King of Pentacles here, there's a, I guess what we could look upon as a male spirit guide, although depending on your belief system, you may not believe in a sex there, but it's coming across in a very masculine way, this guy. And so you're not alone. You feel alone. You feel like you're on this journey by yourself. You feel, all right, Cassandra, thank you for your question. And wow, there was a lot of energy coming through with your situation. So I know there's a lot going on inside your head and inside your heart at this time. And I do wish you really all the best with that. It's not easy to feel and see someone's pain. All right, so who do we have up next? The Celtic Dragon. Do I know the person coming into my life in March as a romantic partner? Wow, interesting. Coming into your life in March. All right, let's look at the next person coming into your life. I'll put the question like that, all right? And how do you know them? I have a yes. Let's see how you might know them, how you might know them when you see them. Okay. But I do get a strong yes on whether or not you know them. Let's take a look at who they might be. Wow. They're coming in strong too because I have the sun. Wow, blazing. And look how hot she is in the card. Like, yeah. So this person is coming on strong with a lot of energy. It's going to feel almost as if their energy is so strong. You like, it's one of those people that you encounter where you're like, oh crap, like, can I keep up with this person? This person is going 100 miles an hour and they're shiny, right? They're shiny, like they're very attractive. And so the energy is going to hit you hard. Their energy, I should say. And that's how you're going to know them. And yes, you are going to have to keep up with them. So be careful what you ask for because this one, you're going to have to keep up. There's not going to be an opportunity for you to kind of relax and just kind of like drift off into this connection. No, you got to be on your toes and you got to keep up with them. With the Daughter of Pentacles in the reverse, which is the Page of Pentacles in the reverse in this card, I see some concern around your finances when you encounter this person. Like you're going to feel like, do I have enough? Am I enough? You're going to start to second guess yourself in regards to how they view you and how you view your. All right. Well, thank you for that question. But that's going to be an interesting connection for you. And I'll just give you it's going to be good. Okay. So next question, please. All right, Anne, anything exciting going to happen in my life this year? Shared XX. Not sure what that actually means. And that's really a general question. If you want to be very specific over what part of your life experience you want to talk about, job, relationship, money, go ahead and update your question and put it back in, and we'll get you back on the list here. So with that being said, let's look at who might be next. Kenny, will I get my visa in April, please? All right, let's take a look at Kenny's prospects for his visa. What's happening here? Interesting. I need to pull a couple of cards on this. So I get the Ace of Wands, the Eight of Swords, and the God of Cups, which is the King of Cups. There's some tied up energy in the minutia. So I'm seeing this as red tape, bureaucracy. April may not be your timing around this, okay? I do see some difficulties here. I do see with this King of Cups, this is an individual with the agency with which you are working to get this done. There's someone there that can be very heavily influential. This is a masculine energy. So you could say a male at this agency who will, with this King of Cups, they're willing to hear you out. They're willing to hear you out with an ear for actually making things better in this process for you. Because with this Eight of Swords, this is a whole lot of red tape that has you tied up on this whole process. With the Ace of Wands here, it feels like you're beating down doors in order to get this done once you really become involved in this minutia. Is it doable? Yes. I would say to you that there's a lot more at play here, and a full reading would bring that into the light. But with the time we have here, let's look at what your difficulties might be. Yeah, so if you've been dealing with the Goddess of Wands, this female, right? Thank you for your question. I really appreciate it. All right, so let's take a look at who's next on the list. I want to get to as many questions as I can today. Sophia. I keep getting a twitch in my head and shoulders, and it's really annoying. Any idea why? Okay, so that sounds more along the lines of medical, which I can't address here on this particular on this network here. So sorry. We'll have to move on to our next question. All right. Need to know about my job. The energy's there and intentions of the manager. Anything, any guidance would be so grateful. Feel like a block near my site. I worked so hard. All right, well, that's frustrating, and I understand that completely. Been there many times. All right, so let's look at your manager. Let's look at their intentions towards you, what you might need to know about this person, and how they're viewing you. All right. All right, so I get the High Priestess and the King of Cups in the reverse. Not really sympathetic to you. They feel like they've seen you before, and when I say that, I mean like they feel like when it comes to you, they've seen it all before, right? Oh, I've seen people like this in the past, and I know how this works out. I know how to run this person the way I need to run them, and they're not sympathetic. So they feel like they're in a position of knowing all, and that they can use it to their advantage to affect your situation, right? And in the way that they manage you, I get the Emperor in reverse. So they're anything but being like any kind of mentor to you. They're anything but teaching or being helpful to you. They do withhold information from you. Not sure if you understand that, to the level at which they withhold things that you may need to know to do well in your position. Number one, that they withhold things that are happening in the back end and are being said. I feel like there's a lot of undercutting energy where they talk to higher ups about you behind your back, and that's not happening in a positive light. And that's something that you really need to understand, because it's going to affect you in a greater capacity coming up here in the near future. How you're being perceived. All right. Thank you for trusting me with that question. And watch your back on that one for real. Like, that was some ugliness. All right. So I appreciate you trusting me with that question. And who's next? What question do you have for me? Drop it in the chat. All right. Firefly Magic. Where is N's head at to reconnect with me? All right, let's assume that's romantically. You tell me if that's not the case, but I'm assuming that's what your question is. So let's look inside N's head towards you and what their thoughts are. I get the Sun in the reverse. I get the Fool. I have the Six of Swords in the reverse and the Nine of Wands in the reverse. And first off, with the Sun in the reverse, the Sun is actually the most positive card in the deck, even when it's in the reverse. It's just not quite as bright. And thank you for that confirmation that this is about romance. The Fool, so what I'm getting is they see you, they see you in all your glory, and they acknowledge that on a very deep level, right? But with this Fool card being attached to that Sun in the reverse, are they going to act in a way that makes sense? No, they're not going to freaking act in a way that makes sense, because that's who they are. The Six of Swords in the reverse and the Nine of Wands in the reverse, I'm gonna bluntly tell you what I'm seeing. I don't see the intent to reconnect, right? Because the Six of Swords depicts a woman on a boat, right, and heading in a very specific direction. And with it being in the reverse here, it's kind of like they're against heading specifically in that direction back to you. Can they actually be wooed, or can they actually end up changing their mind and coming back due to, future events? Let's take a look at that, because we did talk about them in this Fool card being connected to them and them not making the best decisions in your. Right. So sorry we didn't get into the last part of that reading, but yeah, you can always get a fuller reading, and we can look at that a little closer, because I do think there's a lot of information there that could be to your advantage. But thank you for your question. All right. We're on a roll tonight, and I am having a good time with you all. And I thank you for your engagement tonight. This is beautiful. So let's move on. Who's next? All right, Debbie would love a reading for 2023. Okay. Again, that's a very general reads. We don't do general reads here. So if you want to be more specific about an area of your life, romance, finance, work, whatever it is, you can drop your question back in the chat, and then we can discuss further. All right. So do I have another question waiting queued up? And we have, it looks like a Nunu. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Will Kay and I reconcile soon? All right, let's take a look. Let's see what's going on. What's happening with Kay? All right, let me pull a few cards here. I have the Two of Wands. I have Judgment. This is a little bit of rough stuff here. All right, so the Two of Wands, definitely showing a parting of ways, but this is a parting of feelings in the heart as well, right? I feel like, especially with, let me get my camera right, this couple here depicted on the card, they look like they're getting along. Like there was a camaraderie, there was a close feeling at one point in time. And that feeling is, there's a separation between what they felt and what they feel now, right? And then with this Judgment, it's like they, in their minds, have passed judgment on you, in a sense. Like, this is what it is, and I'm ready to move on. Now let's look at what's happening here with the Strength card, because the Strength card is talking to me about the fact that they're also being very stubborn, right? They've made this decision and they're being stubborn. And I get the King of Wands following it up, where there's some player type energies. And let's not forget, we can have masculine or feminine beings displaying player type energy, but like, knowing I'm hot, knowing I can get out there, whether I am or not, it's all in Kay's mind, like this whole moving on thing. Now let's look at whether there's anything that can influence that and how things work out. Because if you're asking the question about reconciliation, it's because you want reconciliation. So we have the Ten of Wands in the reverse, the Queen of. All right. Well, I hope that was helpful. I hope that was helpful. Lots of interesting energy there. All right. We have been on here for quite some time, but it doesn't even feel like it to me because I'm enjoying what I'm doing and I'm enjoying interacting with each and every one of you. And again, I thank you for your questions. So let's take a look at our next question. What do we have? Jimmy, will the next compromise... I don't understand the question as it is typed in. Is, will the next compromise on the taxes this year? Not sure what that means. So if you could give me some more detail around that, Jimmy, I'll be happy to address that with a reading. Do we have another question that we can go to while he does that? Yes, we have Anne. Do you think I will ever get married? I'm 50 now and have been with him 27 years. Ooh, or anyone else. Okay, so let's take a look at him. 27-year guy. That's what I'm going to call him. No offense. What's going on with him and his intent towards you? And then from there, we'll see whether we need to look at what's next, right? Because if you got somebody... All right, we have the Wheel of Fortune followed by the Moon and the Page of Wands, and we also have the Devil. That's packing a punch and saying a whole mouthful. He has the world in his hands with this Wheel of Fortune. He's struck gold. He knows he's struck gold in you, but he also knows the cycle continues round and round, year after year. In his mind, and I'm speaking from his point of view, so please don't be offended or hurt, but this is what's going on in his mind and his heart. Why should I change anything? Everything remains the same. I don't have to move forward and do anything different. I just keep continuing the same cycle and I stay with the same level of fortune. I've got it all at my hands with her, right? That's what's going on in his heart and mind. And with the Moon, this person on the Moon card is in a position of repose. Again, further supporting what I'm saying here. I can just lay back and the cycle continues, right? I have the Page of Wands. That's a very immature attitude towards you, right? Like, that's immature to have someone, let's be blunt, and again, not to offend or hurt. You have someone on the hook for 27 years, right? And all right, expectations and ego. That's the key words that I'm going to leave with you. All right. So I hope that you got something that you needed out of that reading. And if you'd like a more in-depth reading, please go ahead and take care of that in the chat, and happy to do that for you. So thank you for trusting me with that question. All right, let's see who we got next. We got some more here for Sophia. Sophia, when will I meet someone new, please? And is it my twin flame or was that my ex? Okay, was your ex your twin flame? Let's look at that first. So we need to see if we can consider your ex TY or rule them out. All right, again, no, I would say that your ex was not the twin flame, definitely. And let's look at time frame. Let's look at 3 months from now, 6 months from now, and 9 months from now, as far as meeting someone. All right. So 3 months from now, I have the Six of Cups. 6 months from now, I have the Six of Pentacles. And 9 months from now, I have the 10 of Pentacles. 9 months looks really promising. But at the 3 month mark, we have the Six of Cups. And the Six of Cups is like this. It's a really refreshing feeling that I'm getting as I look at this card. Like, I have met someone that I find refreshing, right? And it's Maybe not long term is what I'm getting and hearing, but it's not to be ignored because it kind of resets your energy and prepares you for what's around the bend. So that's what I'm seeing coming at the 3 month mark. Or in other words, someone coming in who may not be long term, but is not to be missed because you're going to gain something very valuable for yourself during that connection, which sets you up for the longer term. At the 6 month mark, I get the 6 of Pentacles, and this is a definite joining with someone. So you see, there's a very specific track that we're taking here. And by 6 months, everything looks different. Okay. Now, there's a warning here that right. All right. So I hope that that helped you out there. It's funny how we're always looking for that twin flame. And because we can be so focused on that, we can miss something good that sets us up for what we really want. Okay, so now we need to take our last question. Who's it gonna be? Jimmy, will my ex compromise on the taxes? All right, so you're in a joint situation. We have a shared custody, but she hasn't been fair. So I am wondering if this year she will compromise with the filing. Let's take a look at her attitude and what can happen here. So I have the 3 of Cups in the reverse, I have the 2 of Cups, and I have the Tower. All right. Well, 3 of Cups in the reverse is her coming to the table saying, no, I'm not compromising shit. I'm doing what I want to do, and you can kick rocks, basically. Bluntly, that's her attitude. Okay. 2 of Cups does show me a compromise that can be reached. You have to come at her with a new compromise, though. And I see her willing to hear it. And I even see her willing to step forward. But it has to be something that he said, and Jimmy says that sounds exactly like her. Thank you for the confirmation. That 2 of Cups, that compromise has to be something new, something that you haven't presented before. So it has to be something that is going to catch her completely off guard. But what you need to be on guard for is the Tower, because at the end of the day, that doesn't work out well for you. Not sure exactly why it is that you need to seek this compromise, but let's take a further look here while we have a few moments here. We have the Page of Swords, we have the Temperance in the reverse, and we have the 10 of Swords in the reverse. And what I'm seeing is with this whole tax situation, I think you need some guidance, some additional guidance, or maybe someone different to guide. All right. Well, I think that was our last question, and that makes me sad because that means my time is winding up here very quickly with you guys tonight. But I truly, truly have enjoyed it, and I've enjoyed our little talks in between. And I encourage you to think very deeply this week about what it is you do to manifest and how your ego, you're welcome, Jimmy, how your ego affects your current manifestations, because it's a topic that was heavy on my mind tonight. I also encourage you to join us at midnight for Squirrel Show, as well as tomorrow at 7, where we have 3 shows that we will be engaging in tomorrow at 7. So check us out on My Psychic Connection. And thank you, thank you, thank you for joining me tonight. I love you all. Have a great week, and I'll see you next week.